there, Pokemon trainers. I'm Ash.
And I'm Nick.
And we're here today to discuss something we've been looking forward to, something we've mentioned, several times in the past several episodes.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about some of the spoilers we saw through Space Juggler and Time Gazer. I always get those sets mixed up. But those two sets in particular are what we're likely going to see the majority of our cards for Astral Radiance. So we went through, looked at the list that were in both these sets, compiled some of the ones that we thought might see standard play, some of the ones that we liked, and some of the ones that just didn't quite fit the bill. Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to get started on Nick's side of things. Yep. So take it away.
So mine aren't really in any particular order, and the first one is technically two Pokemon, but I'm counting it as one. It is Hisuian, Lilligant V, and Vstar. With V, I just really like that first attack. No energy required. Draw right up to 6 to end your turn. Just very nice to refill your hand, especially if you can have an explosive start. Sets you up for some great plays. And then the Vstar, I'm kind of analyzing it from the perspective where, like, it's already, what is it? Let me see. Doop. There we go. 130 damage base for 3 energy is not shabby. And then with the cost of only having to return energy to hand, it deals an additional 100. So I'm kind of looking at it kind of energy neutral, where you play your energy return, you deal 230, you put that energy back into your hand, and then if you're realizing that you're kind of starting to run low on energy, or maybe you need to fill your bench or anything, you've got the V-Star power. I believe we're also getting another supporter
we should see it in Astral Radiance.
Yes, okay.
It was
I'm blinking at her name. I remember it was draw 2, then you may attach 2 grass energy to your bench Pokemon, which is
something vitality. I can't remember either, but it was one that we were both looking for as support for this card these cards in particular. But
just, overall, I think the Lilligants are solid. All they really need is a little bit of grass help or maybe a decent shell to build around, and I feel like they could see some standard play.
Mm-hmm.
Moving past that, I got Luxury V. Entirely is for its first attack. 2 colors energy, only 30 damage, but you also get to look at your opponent's hand and possibly pick out an important trainer that's in there. I really like the hand disruption. It's very cheap, very easy to gain access to. And then again, for 3 energy, 120 damage, and it also paralyzes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe there was an Ampharos as well that basically lets you just keep recycling the energy.
Flaffy, yeah.
Flaffy, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And, I mean, we also have the double turbo energy, so that you can get that Fang Snipe right off the bat. So.
If you're going second, potentially, you're looking at turn 1 to start disrupting hands immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, a lot of decks are very reliant on those trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Moving past that, I have Machamp Vmax.
And this was one that was on both of our lists for it.
I mean, fighting already has plenty of ways to put sprinkles of damage counters around a bench Pokemon to immediately mean that its first attack is dealing 220 damage for only 2. That's incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then for an additional energy, it's basically another plus 20 damage. In the in a good game, you're going at what was my math again? 460 damage every other turn for 3 energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got plenty of support. In the same set, it is Gapejaw Bog. Whenever a player benches a basic Pokemon, it puts 2 damage counters on it.
Mm-hmm.
With a Bog, Machamp Vmax, you're going to town.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the other support of Gastrodon that we were looking at as well, that was specifically saying it did like 140 damage and then dealt 20 damage to your benched Pokemon. Yep. So that's another way to get that unfortunate damage out on your team, but it just powers Machamp up. So,
and 2 damage counters is not much when you're hitting that hard every turn.
Mm-hmm.
The next one on my list, it's not exciting. It's just good.
Yeah.
Switch cards. Switch already sees plenty of play as is. Switch card is just Switch with upside. Does the exact same thing, but has the additional benefit of healing 30 damage.
Yep. And so it's just why not play it as well?
And then finally, this is one that I am very excited to see. Temple of Sinnoh. Negate special energy. I think that is phenomenal.
Goodbye, Mew.
Yep. Goodbye, Mew. Goodbye, unfortunately, that Luxury V that we just talked about.
Well, no, because you don't need to run special energy on it.
Yeah, but if you want to double turbo it to get off very quickly.
Fair.
Yeah. No, it hoses decks that are extremely reliant on special energy, especially the strike decks.
Mm-hmm. Fusion, yeah, and one of the old decks that we both enjoyed was Sylveon Toolbox, which was heavily reliant on the Fusion Strike energy, and without that, you're just kind of just stuck.
Oh, yeah. All right, so then moving past that, I got next. I got 3 that I'm kind of on the fence about. I think they could be good, but either they need some extra help or it's going to require a lot to kind of make them a thing. Hisuian Samarat. I really like that ability, discard 1 to draw 3. It's not restricted to just being used once a turn, so if you've got multiple Samarats, you can just keep drawing through your cards.
Mm-hmm.
Its attack, 3 energy, 60 damage, and an additional 20 for each energy attached to all your Pokemon is great. Very easy to start hitting very hard very quickly. The only problem is it is a stage 2, which means it does require a little bit of setup.
Yeah.
If there was a way to get it out fast, I think it'll be phenomenal, but without that, it's right on the verge.
Yeah.
Next up, past that, I have Shaymin. Good old Shaymin. Really fond of the attack. I feel like it can slot into a lot of decks that want to set up for very quick turn 1s, like Vmax being the obvious one, or one of my old favorite decks, what like Ash just said, was a Sylveon Toolbox, where it just really helps smooth out like a bad opening hand, and it is another kind of energy that the Sylveon deck sometimes does or doesn't play. So you've got, it's easy access, it's just a basic, you don't have to worry about any evolution, any Vmax, anything like that. The problem is, it's only got 70 HP.
Yeah.
So while you want to have it out, turn 1 immediately using that attack, it might as well say, search for any 3 cards, give your opponent a prize card.
And it's not the first time we've seen cards like that. There was the Electrode, I want to say from Vivid Voltage, that had the ability Buzz Zap Generator. Makes itself faint, but it lets you grab 2 electric energy. So that's a nice setup for, what was it? Tapu Koko, where it says if your opponent has taken more prizes, or if you have more prizes left than your opponent, it does more damage. Good setup for that at the very least, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay, same thing also it's also kind of the case of, like, it's good. I'm sure the Mew decks would love it, but they already have a very large critical mass of cards that do similar things, or just so many ways to draw that they may not need it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then my final kind of on the fence one is Thievel. I like the ability. It's a nice solid bench protector for your Vs. The problem is it's just very narrow, that it only protects Pokemon V and only from supporters. And the ability is only active when your opponent has 2 or fewer prizes remaining. Where if it just said, hey, your Pokemon V are unaffected by your opponent's supporters, phenomenal. But requiring your opponent to be that close to already winning the game and only protecting the Vs just doesn't quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, last but not least, we have my shame list. The ones that I don't like them. I want to let... But starting off, Drochi V. Very solid ability. Whenever your basic Pokemon V is knocked out, you may move energy from them onto another one of your Pokemon. So it kind of recycles the energy, where if your opponent gets a prize off you, you can start moving the energy and immediately start to set up a counterattack. But its attack doing only 60 damage and also putting both Pokemon to sleep, I can't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you want to have that Drochi out, but if you have to use it, you kind of have to sit there and really hope you get some lucky coin flips, or you're basically giving your opponents some free prizes.
Oh yeah.
Moving past Jirachi, the first of the Reggies that I'm going to complain about, Reggie Steele. Decent first attack if you're playing Reggie's deck. But its second looking very good off the gate. 3 energy for 220 damage looks great. But 50 less for each symbol in your opponent's retreat costs just means that this is just not going to hit very hard most of the time. Like if you're doing, just for example, Reggie versus Reggie, you're paying 3 energy to deal 70 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're wanting to, ensure quick knockouts, having to sit there and do the math of, oh wait, I have to attack 2-3 times. It just doesn't get there.
Like, it's nice against Mew decks, it's nice against Jolteon, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, unless your opponent's playing a very fast, very aggressive deck, it's going to feel really awkward when you're, doing 70 to a 300 HP Pokemon.
Yeah.
Next up, this one's going to be a little controversial, I'm going to say. Zisu. Supporter, draw until you have one more card in your hand than your opponent. I've seen a lot of people talking like, oh my god, this is great. If I have one card, my opponent has 8, I'm just drawing all these cards. I'm looking at it like a worse copycat. I feel that if you want to be drawing cards, you either want to be either completely refilling an empty hand, or if it's a case of you have 4 and your opponent has 7, I want to be getting rid of like the dead cards in my hand, shuffling them back, and trying to get something fresh. Or like Professor's Research, where I'm just pitching all the junk that I don't need, drawing a fresh 7 and going from there. I like my card draw where I'm either drawing a lot of cards really quickly, or I'm getting a nice fresh new hand because I've got a bunch of dead cards that just aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Zisu, all it does is just fill up your hand a little bit.
And I'm kind of for it. I do like Zisu. I was excited when I first saw it. One of the best arguments I saw is maybe just run one copy in your deck, and that's like a nice way to handle it. Is if you see your opponent sitting on 10 cards and you just want to be like, okay, I could use that many cards as well, whether for filling up your hand or if there's attacks or abilities that are dependent on how many cards you have in hand. Rapid Strike Malamar is a perfect example of this. Zisu would work perfectly in that kind of case. So
yeah,
maybe one of, if anything.
Yeah, I like to be negative though and complain about things. All right, now for the second Reggie that I get to complain about, Reggie Gigas. Why? I mean, its attack 5 colorless energy deals 150, and then if your opponent's a Pokemon Vmax, deals another 150. 300 is great damage, but the fact you need to have a full bench of one of each Reggie for its ability to be any use, I can't get on board with it. Again, sure, you can be playing, Reggie's deck where we saw, was it Reggie Steele at the top that just searches out your Reggies, but you need a full bench. They all have to be different just to start being able to use his ability. And looking at the cost of that attack, you want like as many special energy as possible to get there, or else you just spend 5 turns going attached energy, pass turn, attached energy, patch turn, and saying, yeah, you just get run over me now. And now, next up, Palkia Vstar. It's Fat Suicune. Its attack does the exact same thing, but with the exception of it has 40 more damage base, so 60 instead of 20. But that's about it. Same energy requirements. I believe it's got, 60 more HP than a Suicune V, but this is a V-Star, and the V-Star power is it feels mediocre compared to a lot of the other V-Star powers. Attach up to 3 water energy for your discard pile to your water Pokemon any way you like. If I agree, that's a basic attack on a, what is it?
Vaporeon Vmax,
yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Because you could use Bubble Pod.
Yeah. It's once per turn versus, I believe, 1 energy to do the same thing on a Vmax. Come on, Palkia. You're supposed to be like a god. Well,
You're
not
just
necessarily a god.
You're ragging on all the legendaries, it
I am,
seems.
yes. I want my legendaries to feel legendary. And then finishing out, I believe this is finishing it out.
I think so.
Sure. Yes,
yep.
yeah. My final one is Grant. I'm sorry, Grant, and anyone named Grant. During this turn, your fighting Pokemon deal 30 more damage before applying weaknesses and resistances, and then you may discard 2 cards except for Grant to return it to your hand. You're basically, I'm looking at this and I see, discard 3 cards. Your fighting Pokemon deal 30 to 60 more damage a turn. That's it. I do not think that 3 cards are worth 30 damage. Like, if you're at the point where you desperately need to be getting over that last little bit, you're probably already in a very bad spot. This is in a game. If Grant even had just said, like, during this turn, your Pokemon deal 30 more damage, it might have been playable to where now, okay, I've got type advantage. I'm going to, discard a couple of dead cards or just something I don't really need right now to, ensure a nice quick knockout. It'd be good, but only working on fighting Pokemon.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny, like looking back at the magic aspect, because that's also something we deal a lot with. That's something we see commonly in magic cards, where it's like you can return this card to your hand if you discard 2 other cards and things like that. It's like even in like the magic sense, that's just such a weak ability.
And then, like the final nail in Grant's coffin is he's a supporter. I do not want to be that one supporter I'm playing a turn. And then finally, I have some that I just think they're neat. My first one is the other of the big boys from the set, Theogovy Vstar. 40 damage, and then deals 40 more for each metal energy attached to it. Already perfectly fine on a hitter. And then for 4 metal energy and 1 colorless, deals 220 damage, and you take an extra turn.
Now note, this is the Vstar
yes.
attack, so you're only able to do this once, but...
Well, but I'm absolutely going to see if I can build a deck that's just taking as many turns as I can now.
That Yoga Loop, and then I think there was another one where it says if it knocks out a Pokemon, you can take another turn.
Yeah.
So it's there's fun ways to play with it.
Yeah, but I also just like the V-Star power of if you're able to ensure, the knockout, you just get another extra turn right after that to either get it set up for a second one, get a second one, or put yourself in a very good spot for a follow-up turn after that. Or especially because again, it does require it's 4 metal to use that V-Star power, which means that it's 220 for the unfortunate Pokemon being hit with it, and then the next one coming up, it is dealing 40 with an additional 40.
So minimum 200.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you went that way, and it's like, uh-oh.
And one of the images didn't load. Next up on my list of, I just kind of think they're neat. Bronzong. He is weak to fire. Luckily, he is heatproof. He ignores all fire damage. I like that. Little annoying, hey, I'm going to take 2 times damage, except I don't.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. The only issue is there are ways to skirt around it, abilities that say ignore abilities of your opponent's Pokemon, things like that. So,
yeah, no, definitely not a go. I think it's neat. Next one on my list, I've got Komala, specifically because its ability Twists all a Dream. If this Pokemon is asleep when it gets knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attack, they don't take any prizes for it. And then following that, colors, collapse 60 damage, it puts it to sleep. I think it's hilarious. Looking at that sounds like a solid stall because at minimum, at the end of your turn, it's going to be asleep.
If you're attacking at the very least.
Yeah.
Like it's possible to still get prizes out on it because Bus's order onto it before you could put it to sleep.
But yeah, just being a Pokemon, like a Pokédoll that can fight back. I like it. It's an annoying stall Pokemon. I will probably try to build a deck around, like, just stalling out as long as I can just to be as annoying as humanly possible. Again, not a good deck, not necessarily a good card. I just think it's neat.
And then
moving past that, Malamar.
Which has not... I'm being highly sarcastic when I say this. Has not seen enough love just yet.
Specifically for its first attack. For a single psychic energy, it deals 30 damage plus. Both players reveal their hands. If any of the cards have the same name as the cards in your opponent's hand, it deals an additional 90. So, potentially 1 energy for 120 damage. More importantly, there we go. I spy with my squiddly eye some commonly played cards such as Professor's Research, Boss's Orders, Marnie, and Quickball.
And, that's...
Yeah, and again, I mean, especially if you're using, was it the, I just forgot. What is it? Luxray V, there we go. I'm going to deal 30, look at your hand. Oh, would you look at that? I happen to have the same card. I'm going to start hitting you for 120. I'm liking that there's been a lot of cards this set that have, like, look at your opponent's hand type effects, because that information is always very helpful to know what you either have to watch out for or get an idea of what your opponent is playing if they're doing something really weird.
Like, we started seeing a little bit back with Chandelure V and Vmax, where it would say it would do more damage based on how many trainers are in your opponent's hand, which makes it kind of a good support to go with it.
Yeah. And then I think this should be the final one on my list, Featherball. Search your deck for a Pokemon with 0 retreat cost, reveal it, put it in your hand shuffle. For a singular specific reason. Mew, V, and Vmax both have 0 retreat cost, because that deck needs to get even more efficient.
I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a phenomenal card, but oh god, do I hate it. Just because I don't think I've mentioned how much I dislike going against Mew, V, and Vmax. Like, that makes it... Like, a lot of times you're probably not even going to see it just because at this point, Mew is not going to see a whole lot of changes, I don't think, anytime soon, just with the support it already had in Fusion Strike alone. Like, but, I mean, Jolteon V and Vmax will love it just because that has a free retreat. I know Noivern V had no free retreat, and there's some other cards that, honestly, we didn't look at that can also get some very good benefit from it. It's...
At minimum, I think the Mew deck is going to at least playtest to see if it makes the deck any better or if it's another card that they can kind of do without because it's already just good. But I think that should conclude my list. Oh, wait, nope.
Nope. That's my list.
That is yours.
Yep. And then mine's going to be a little over the place. I apologize. I didn't have enough time to organize it. But yeah, going into my list, the first Pokemon I saw that I've been, again, very excited for when I saw it, Hisuian Typhlosion, which not only does it boast probably the best design of all three of the starters. Its ability says you may discard a Psychic Energy card from your hand. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused. Not necessarily bad, but not necessarily good either. But it's just it's a nice little stall, and it's a nice way to get additional damage without having to do a lot. You have a lot of nice support with things like Shadow Rider Calyrex could use this because you'll be getting Psychic Energy fairly easily. It's just a nice card.
Yes.
Like, a little rough just because it also takes... It's a stage 2, so it's going to take a little bit of preparation, but turns out it's kind of nice.
I do like that little addendum on its attack that says the active Pokemon cannot retreat, so it also kind of starts to set up for quick KOs.
The next one I have on my list is great support for Machamp Vmax, which, again, we both have been excited for. Rampardos. Its attack takes 2 fighting energy. Jurassic Hammer does 240 damage. If your opponent has 3 or fewer cards in hand, this attack does nothing. Which, there's a lot of times you'll... Like, I don't know. A lot of times you'll go right into a Marnie and then just go, you obviously have more than 3 in hand, so it's... Like, it's just a good support, and it's cheap to get out. Again, stage 2, because it is a fossil and will require the unidentified fossil, but ultimately, doing 240 damage is pretty solid.
Very early game, that could just kind of come out of nowhere.
The next one I had on my list, which is one I was surprised that Nick didn't have, was Magnusone. Great support for steel types, especially with its ability, Giga Magnet. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 6 cards and put any number of metal energy you find there and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Like, free metal energy? Why not? It's perfect for a Dialga. Yes, again... I'm starting to realize a trend with my list where everything is stage 2. Rough to get out, but
the stage 2 is exactly what I didn't want. I was like, that's probably going to go into the Dialga deck if I do build that, but it's going to be going to kind of more of a Mimi deck than a serious one that I build.
That is entirely fair. And then the next one is under the I think it's neat and it does have potential. Perhaps my favorite Pokemon from Legends, Weirdeer. A Weirdeer V specifically. It has the ability Opening Road. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to become your active Pokemon, you may move any number of energy from your other Pokemon to it, and then its attack deals 40 times based the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon. So you could literally just attach all the energy you have and just go, oh, by the way, I'm going to do like 300, well, not 300 because that doesn't 260.
Yeah, there you go.
Things like that, just from taking all the energy from your other Pokemon. It has potential. Like
2 Weirdeers with air balloons just going around.
that is a possible way to handle it. Another card we mentioned, we both like. I'm assuming this is probably going to see play just because of that ability. Gape Jaw Bog. Whenever your opponent plays a basic Pokemon, or you yourself play a basic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on it. Jolteon Vmax is going to love it. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's already getting the damage counters out, so...
Jolteon, Machamp, any deck that cares about damage counters.
Now, one, I did have to read this one 2 or 3 times. Hisuian Voltorb, which again, Voltorb has Electrode has seen a lot of play, so I wasn't terribly surprised to see Voltorb have Voltorb on my list. It's just a better Cresselia in my mind. Cresselia says if you can use this attack on your first turn if you go second, get 3 energy. Hisuian Voltorb does the same thing, but it doesn't even cost energy to play the attack. It just says you can use this attack only if you go second and only on your first turn. Choose up to 2 of your bench Pokemon and attach a basic energy to them from your deck.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. Again, probably it'll probably end up being a free prize, but you could do that and then next turn scoop up if it isn't dead already. It has potential. Yeah. It's just a nice, solid getting things up and started. And then next was Orbeezle, which was one that is a weird one, and it has potential to be very funny in my mind. Says when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your opponent's discard pile to their Pokemon any way you like. Which, now I know a lot of people are like, now hold on, why would you want to attach energy to your opponent's Pokemon? But its attack does damage based on how many energy are attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you can just use that ability to throw the energy onto your opponent's active Pokemon, and then, do more damage on that. I think
that'd be using its ability 180 damage. Okay.
And if the Pokemon didn't already have energy on it. So it's kind of a memey one. I don't terribly think it's gonna see play. It was just an interesting one that honestly I just wanted to mention.
Or if your opponent's playing Weird, it's gonna hurt really bad.
Yeah. Now, one that this is VMAX have so much potential, and Heatran is so underwhelming in VMAX. Well, V and VMAX are just underwhelming. It's not even a better form of Gardevoir V and VMAX. It's just not good. It has the ability of, if there's Stadium in play, you may heal 50 damage, which sounds good, but honestly, you're not going to be taking much advantage of it, because 50 damage is likely not going to stop from being KO'd.
Yeah, typically, whenever I'm playing as VVMAX, it's usually there's 2, maybe 3 attacks at most before it's gone. You're not playing around doing dinky little 50, 60 points of damage a turn.
And then its attack is only 180 damage, and your opponent's Pokemon's now burned. And for 3 energy, it's not good. Sorry, Heatran, maybe next time. Another one that I was looking at, now we're going back to sort of funny, but it could see some potential play, Golduck. Specifically for its second attack, Entrainment Dive. Discard both active Pokemon and all attached cards. If your opponent doesn't have a Pokemon, I'm pretty or any other benched Pokemon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I'm more looking at that do you try to set it up where you have 2 empty benches and 4 straws?
Could maybe. It was just very silly when I read it, and I'm just like, this is goofy. I love it. And I mean, honestly, just doing that against Mew VMAX,
that would be pretty funny.
You just completely stop them because there's no way to get that energy back from discard, and it's just
there's also there's no counter to that. It just says get it out. It's auto KO.
Well, not KO.
Well, no prizes are being taken, but just kind of we're gonna just get that out of here.
Yeah, exactly. And then another one that just did not make it at all, Kleavor Vstar. I think this is probably the most underwhelming Vstar we've seen, and honestly, there are a fair few already. Sorry, Shaymin. But its V-Star power does 30 times damage, and it does 30 times based on the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile. That to be able to do good damage, that takes a lot of Pokemon in your discard, and by the time you have that many cards in your discard, Pokemon in your discard, it's
Yeah,
probably too late.
Yeah, I was like, Kleavor's only real saving grace here is that both of its attacks are just incredibly cheap to use, but they hit like a wiffle bat almost. From how this looks, you either have to have, a yard full of dead Pokemon, or he's not doing anything, and then that first attack, 120 plus additional 60 only to a benched Pokemon V.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like,
I mean,
Kleavor tried, but
yeah, and
he did not succeed.
Kleavor v Kleavor requires 3 attacks to win.
And then next is kind of a twofer. Hisuian Sneezler and Hisuian Sneezler V. Hisuian Sneezler, the normal one, because it's essentially just an air balloon without the air balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it on your bench.
Yeah.
Your Pokemon now have your Pokemon's retreat costs are 2 less. Honestly, I like that with how rampant Tool Scrapper is. It's just a nice way to get that out.
Instead of a Weird Year with 2 air balloon, now it's a Weird Year with 2 Hisuian Sneezlers.
Well, you don't even need the 2. You just need 1.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, 2 Weird Year with 1 Hisuian Sneezler.
There you go. So, and then its tech isn't really anything, but it's like, I like free air balloons.
Mm-hmm. It needs to do something with an attack.
Mm-hmm. And then the V version, not going to see play. I love it. Has its second attack that takes 2 energy, 80 times damage based on each special condition that affects your opponent's Pokemon. It takes a lot to set up. It's not going to see standard play at all. It's just funny, especially if you're playing it in with perhaps Tri-Scale Butterfree, which makes your opponent's Pokemon burned, paralyzed, and confused, I believe. So 240.
Yeah.
Again, not going to see play. Just funny to build around. And then lastly, for my list, the last card on my list was Hisuian Heavy Ball. It's one of those that it's kind of situational, but it might see some play. It says, look at your face-down prize cards. You may reveal a basic Pokemon you find there and put it to your hand, and then put the Hisuian Heavy Ball back into it in its spot and shuffle prizes. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're, say you get really unlucky and all your Genesects are in your prizes, you can at least grab 1.
Yeah.
It's situational, but,
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one of those where, like, if it just said look at your face downs, you may pick one of them. It would be insanely powerful, but basic exclusively is, I don't know. That was another one. It didn't make those, but that was another one of my little on the fences where, like, depending on how badly your deck needs your basics, it could be incredibly good, or it could just be a awkward do-nothing card.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And I guess at minimum it turns into possibly another one of those like one or two of you play 1 or 2 of copy situations where at minimum you get to look at your prizes and know what you have in there, so that you know what to be looking for. Where it's like, oh, I don't have this card's in my prizes, or like what was it 2 weeks ago? We were playtesting decks and one of our friends ended up with
yeah, he was playing he was also playing a Mew VMAX, and he ran into the unfortunate situation where his opponent had passed the peak out. His stadiums were in his prizes.
Yeah, like if nothing else, just gain the knowledge that both my stadiums and my prizes is going to be a very uphill battle.
But yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of our list. Yeah. Again, not all of these cards. We may not see all of these cards in Astral Radiance. We know that we will eventually be seeing them, though.
Yes, yeah. This is the conglomeration of what was it again? Sorry.
Time Gazer and Space Juggler.
Thank you. Yeah.
And also these are ultimately our opinions. You may completely disagree with everything we say.
Yeah. We also might very well see something completely out of left field where a card we just entirely overlooked becomes the next tier 1 deck.
Or part of the next tier 1 deck. Like the set has a lot of potential to it, but it also just feels like a set to tweak decks rather than building a deck from it. Yeah. And that's okay for sets. Like we also saw it a little bit with not Astral Radiance, that's coming out. Brilliant Stars, where RCSV and Vstar has put itself into every deck, but we've also seen Arceus be its own deck.
Yeah,
So.
this is definitely looking over the what we've seen. We've seen the full 2 sets now for them. Lot of very good support. Not a lot of this is going to be the next build round card.
Actually,
well, with the exception of probably the Machamp.
Yeah, literally what I was about to say. Machamp may be the one exception to that, but
See, again, like I said, just a set full of just good supporting cards to help beef up decks or kind of round out any inconsistencies existing decks. But I've already had is perfectly good.
Mm-hmm. Like I've been looking forward to the set. Being able to sit down, read these cards has been fun. Again, we have Astral Radiance in T-minus a month now, more or less. So we're gonna start seeing build battles coming out soon for those, which of course we will be doing a battle for those. But it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we're actually getting in the set because we don't know quite yet. This is all based on hopes and dreams of what they're going to give us. And I will also. You had some stuff on your list that I didn't even literally glance at. Like I skimmed past. I'm like, okay, that's a card, and then you're like, wait, that is what now?
Yeah, no, I did that with the Voltorb. I scrolled past it, and I'm just like, hold up, and then I had to go back and read it again. It's like there's always nice little gems in the rough that you don't realize, and again, this was kind of fun for both of us.
A lot of fun, yeah.
But yeah, as always, we're glad you joined us. We're glad that you enjoy listening to us ramble about Pokemon cards. And as always, I'm Ash.
I'm Nick.
And we'll catch you next time.